Hey guys, I'm back with a new video today. In today's video, we're checking out Traha Global, which is an MMORPG free to play on mobile. And in the video today, I am going to be ranking the classes, or you want to call them weapons, classes, characters, whatever you guys want to call them. I'm going to be ranking them in a tier list, and I'm going to be including the classes, how they do in PvP, dungeon, world PvP, faction PvP, and then once I have all the information, I'm going to be putting them into the tier list. So hopefully this video is entertaining and helps you guys out. So if it does, give me a thumbs up, make sure you guys subscribe. I make MMORPG content, and let's jump into the tier list. So we have here the tier list, and you guys see here, this is how I ranked it. The meta S tier, which is a very high tier, A, which is average. A for average is pretty good. B is like below average. B for below average. You see that? This is how it works, man. And then you have the last, which is delete it. Yeah, delete this class because it's useless. So it's kind of obvious which class is the meta if you guys have been playing the game. It is the Scythe. Okay, the Scythe stands above all the other classes. It is too good, and the reason for Scythe being good is that it has a very high defense, okay, and you can unleash even if you make a full defense build. I made a full guide on the site recently, so if you guys want to check out my site video, you guys can. But you can build a full defense and do very good damage. There's high sustain. It is CC immune when you use the Reaper skill. It has good AoEs. It has long range attacks if you spec it like that. It's close range attacks if you spec it like that. It can be a tanky build, it can be a DPS build. Basically it can do everything. And what is even worse about the site is it's very easy to play. It's a very beginner friendly to play. You don't have to be very super smart to play it. If you are smart, it helps, of course, but it's a very dumbed down class. So it's not it's basically everybody should be playing this class right now. If you guys are not, you guys are probably struggling with most of the stuff you're doing. Now for PvP 1v1s, Scythe is the go-to class. So if you don't play Scythe, you're gonna have a hard time in 1v1s. 3v3 again does absolutely phenomenal, good damage, good AoE. Again, CC immune, does very well in 3v3. World PvP faction fights does amazing. If you spec it right, you are almost unkillable, and you have good range, and you can do some good damage and good sustain. So it does amazing world PvP. When it comes to dungeon PvE, great in dungeons because it deals one of the highest DPS if you spec it like that, and it is very tanky too. So again, it is the phenomenal class. So Scythe, again, meta class right now. Hopefully it will keep getting some nerfs, but this is where I'm going to place it. Now let's go to the bottom of the list. Delete it. I'm going to have to put the Knuckles on the delete class because this class is probably the worst class right now. Is a melee range class. It has one good skill, which is the big golem that it summons, which smashes. But overall usage in a 1v1, you can't do anything in 1v1 with a Knuckles class, unfortunately. 3v3 you can maybe participate a little bit, but if there's no other mage in the team, if there's no mage in the team, you're probably the first to go. That's this life of the Knuckles. Okay, it's not as tanky as the other classes like Shield, like Greatsword. It doesn't do that much damage like the other classes. So overall, very average class. You could use it in dungeons and PvE, but again, there's better, harder hitters in the dungeon and PvE. Knuckles doesn't shine in any type of way in anywhere. You know, the big golems are cool in like world PvP and faction, but you have to be close range using Knuckles, so you're most likely going to get obliterated. So right now, Knuckles definitely needs some kind of buff because it is a class that is completely useless. So that is a Knuckles. Now let's move on to the next class. Let's go a high tier again. Let's tap the DualBlades. The DualBlades right now is an S tier class. I'm actually thinking about switching to DualBlades. It's an assassin type class where you sneak around and you do very high damage. So for DualBlades in 1v1s, if you're not playing Scythe, you're probably playing DualBlades. It does very well in 1v1s. If you play it, you kind of have to play it smart though. You can't just be completely button mashing. You have to sneak around, you have to hit, you have to escape, you have to run. So you can build the DualBlades by being a sneaky player and doing some good damage. So I can't wait to make the switch to DualBlades. There's good in 1v1s, there's very good in 3v3s because in 3v3s you can sneak around, the team isn't paying attention to you. You can sneak and hit the enemy from behind. and do some good damage. So very good in 1v1s, 3v3s. In dungeons, PvE, one of the highest DPSs. So it does very good damage, deals a lot of damage. In faction PvP, however, it will struggle a little bit because there's a lot of AoEs going on. You have to be kind of close range. So that is where it struggles the most. But for everything else, very high tier. And when the Scythe get nerfed, I can see the DualBlades being the next meta class to play. So I'm looking forward to more of the DualBlades. Next up, let's talk about staff. Now the staff is kind of hard to rank right now because the staff is a DPS and a healer, but I can't give it an A ranking because I will give it higher than Knuckles because of the healing aspect of the class. It's a good healer and it does very good damage overall in dungeons and PvE. Very great for faction too, so that's why I had to put it above Knuckles. But in 1v1s and 3v3s, even battlegrounds, the staff is the first to go. It gets target super fast. It's very squishy. It doesn't have good attacks to avoid. If you had some kind of flash or blink, probably would help, but it's not. So it's very hard for mages to actually do PvP and have a good time. But it does have healing capabilities, and it can do good damage in dungeons and PvE, and very fun for faction. But it's just not there overall as a class. Definitely, if I see a mage or a staff in my team when I do 3v3s, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna lose because this guy is gonna be completely useless. So that is mage for me. Hopefully they give again mage some kind of buff, maybe some kind of teleport, kind of blink to help it out. But right now, not a very good class to play. Next up, we have let's talk about the Greatsword. The Greatsword is an A class. Sorry guys, the Greatsword is an A class because why is the Greatsword an A class? Because Greatsword was kind of looked down on at the start, but right now it is very viable in 3v3s. In 1v1s it does struggle because some of the skills needs targets and it needs to stack up buffs to be able to do good damage, but in 3v3s it works excellent. You have a nice chain pull that you guys can use. You have a nice spin that you guys can use. Overall it's tanky and it can dish out DPS. I can see it becoming very viable when the Scythe is gone. I can see the Greatsword even becoming an S tier class, but right now since it's not very viable in 1v1s, I have to put it on A tier. But it's very good for 3v3. It's very good for battlegrounds. Kind of hard to play this class in faction. Is the nice thing is the pull, you can pull like several players in, and then so it has its uses for sure. Overall in dungeons PvE, I haven't seen it dominate any damage meters, but it could work as like some kind of tank class. But overall a very average class, fun class to play. I definitely want to give Greatsword more time. I want to check it out, play it some more, and see if it gets any better. But when the Scythe gets nerfed, I can see the Greatsword being one of the new top weapons to play. Next up is the bow. Now bow, I'll have to place it next to the DualBlades because the bow, again, the bow is strong. The bow can do amazing high DPSs in 1v1s. You can chunk, if you build it correctly, you can chunk like 50% of HP if you do a nice hit with the bow, and you have nice mobility to get away. After your big hit though, you get it kind of a little slow, a little low damage. But overall, I can see the bow is can also heal, which is amazing for like dungeons. So in 1v1s, it's great. In 3v3s, it's also great. In battlegrounds, it is great. In dungeons, it is great. For faction PvP, it's also very great. So overall, it has the range, it has the damage, and this class doesn't need any changes. They could probably nerf the big hit a little bit and then give it some other kind of damage or mobility, but other than that, it's a very good class, and it will definitely be one of the top classes once the Scythes are nerfed. So S tier class for sure. Last but not least, the shield. Shield is an A tier class. It is doing phenomenal in 3v. I think there's a skill that is bugged with the shield that it takes less damage, but right now shield is doing very good in 3v3s. 1v1s it does struggle still, but you can be viable in 1v1s if you have high combat power. But you can say that about all classes. But in 3v3 is doing very good. In dungeons, you are needed. You're a tank, obviously you will always be needed in dungeons. Faction PvP does really good too. But it's an overall fun class to check out. So in my list, what I'm gonna do when the Scythe gets nerfed, or even before that, I'm gonna be checking out the DualBlades, and then Greatsword. Greatsword is more style of my play. If you guys have been watching me for a long time, you guys know Greatsword is my type of gameplay. Close melee fighter, with chain pulls and stuff. So I'm excited for that. It's gonna be a great time. This is my class tier list. I hope you guys agree. If you guys agree or disagree, let me know. I didn't have to make that many tiers, but I couldn't put Knuckles and the staff in the same tiers, so that's why I made like 2 tiers. But great overall, that is my class weapon tier list. Now what I'm hoping that will happen is the Scythe gets a little bit of nerf, and the Knuckles gets some tweaks, and the mass staff gets a little bit tweaks, and the DualBlades also, because if they nerf Scythe a lot, then the DualBlades will be the next Scythe. And in this game, it seems like you just have to follow different metas, right? But we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated if there's nerfs or buffs to classes. I'll make a new tier list. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to check out more videos, check out this video right here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.